Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Katie. I am the Introverted Reader, and today's video, you can see by the title, we're going to be talking about an Emily Henry book that I recently read. It's called People We Meet on Vacation, or You and Me on Vacation, wherever you happen to reside. Why is it known by two different titles? I don't know. I think like one's the UK title, one's the US title, whatever. But I recently read this on the Kindle app on my phone. I don't have a physical copy of it, but I have some things that I want to say about it, so I figured why not let's sit and discuss, shall we? So beforehand, we're gonna take a drink. Oh, I wish there was a way to stop your lipstick from getting all over your water flask, but there you go. I hope you all drank water. Anyway, so People We Meet on Vacation. It is about our two main characters, Poppy and Alex. And they first met each other when they were in college. And, they become friends and they go on a trip together. And then as they get older and they leave college, they make a pact with each other to go on trips with each other every summer. Because they can't see each other the rest of the year because they live in different states and like jobs and everything. So over the summertime, they meet up with each other and pick some random places to go and go on a trip. Now Poppy is a travel writer, so a lot of the places that they get to go to are courtesy of her job, so that's always really good. And Alex is a teacher, and he still lives in the same town that he grew up in. And I better let my cat out because she'll be scratching at my door if I don't. Go on then. Life of a cat parent, am I right? Anyway, as I was saying, so, Alex still lives in the same town he grew up in. He's living in his granny's old house. He's fixing it up, and she has her apartment in New York and everything. So yeah, there's all that going on. And then with their trips, they used to take one every summer. And then one trip, something happened. And they haven't spoken to each other in like 2 years. And, they haven't really, spoken to each other or texted or gone on a trip in like 2 years. And, Poppy is really missing him and she's really feeling some kind of way about her life. She's like, I do have a great job and I've got my apartment and everything. And, I'm happy, I'm healthy and everything, but I'm just not really feeling very happy right now. And then they get an opportunity to meet up with each other again because Alex's younger brother is getting married. He's getting married in Palm Springs. And then Poppy gets the idea of like, oh yeah, we can meet up in Palm Springs, for like a couple days prior to the wedding and hang out like we used to. So she messages Alex and she's like, hey, with the wedding and everything, do you want to meet up there and, we can hang out and whatever and, like another trip for old time's sake and whatever. So, and he agrees. So, and then, it bounces between the present day, obviously, and the few summers prior to their falling out and so whatever. And obviously, you want to find out what the big fight was about. You want to find out why they hadn't spoken to each other in a really long time and yada, yada, yada. And you do find out, and I'll get to that in a wee second, but that's sort of the synopsis really in a nutshell. They had a big fight and haven't spoken. And, whenever you're reading that from them in their present day, when they're meeting up and whatever, there is that little bit of tension. And we're in Poppy's head and she's talking about like, I really want us to rekindle our friendship. Like, I really miss him. He's one of my best friends. We've been friends for over a decade now. And, but I don't know if it can be fixed, what happened. And so, yeah, for the most part, this book was okay. Just okay, it was fine. I think on Goodreads, I said it was just meh. It was meh. Like, not great, but it also wasn't terrible. It was one of those books that was readable, but, it was there to fill the void because I read a lot of fantasy and I was like, I need a little break. I just need something that's really simple and easy to read, and that was it, you know? And it did kind of give me summer vibes, you know, going on holiday and traveling, and the whole vibe of like, you know, when you go to certain places, you don't always have to do the bigger touristy things, you know, take yourself off the beaten path and go discover things that all the tourists won't know about, and, you know, talk to people and meet people and whatever. And that's all well and good. It did get a little boring and repetitive after a while, like all of them, you know, all the travel stuff, all them going from one place to the other. And then we went to this restaurant with like that had like this furniture that looked like this, and this old lady that ran it, and we became best friends. And it was just that sort of shit over and over again, and that did get a bit boring and a bit repetitive. And I was like, okay, can we get to the part where we discuss what happened between the two of you, because I'm getting bored. Yeah, so hold on, I need another drink. Sorry about that. I think I've hair in my mouth. Anyway, so I was getting a bit bored, but then the deeper I got into it, I was like, you know what? I need to find out what this fight was about. I need to find out why the two of you aren't talking anymore. But I mean, besides all the travel montage stuff that was kind of boring me, the Poppy and Alex, the two of them as characters, the two of them as people, especially Poppy, mostly because we're in her perspective throughout the entire book. We don't get Alex's perspective. And to be honest, I wouldn't mind if romance authors every now and then gave us the other person's perspective, because it's about them as well. You know, it's not just all about one person. It's a story about two people who used to be friends, you know, who were distant for a really long time, and then found each other again, fell back in love. I was just like, I would love to know what Alex is thinking. I would love to know what's going on in his head, because, you know, he seemed like a real interesting person well enough. But speaking of that, one thing that pissed me off about it was because Poppy is like this really flighty and flaky person who's like, I'm spontaneous, I do what I want whenever I want, and I don't need to be married or having children. That's not on the cards for me. And that's all well and fine. That's all well and fine. I'm the same. Like, I'm not getting married. I'm not popping out no babies. I'm not doing any of that. That's fine and valid, right? But on the other hand, Alex is the opposite. Alex wants to get married. Alex wants a family. Alex wants to fix up his granny's old house and settle there with someone and have the family life and do all that and the other. And constantly, Poppy calls him boring and like predictable and dull and like this, that, and the other. And it's like, why is that boring? Why is wanting married life and a family boring? Like, that's like that. Like, I'm not the type of person that wants that, but I would never shit on someone and call them dull and boring simply for wanting that life. Do you know what I mean? And that really rubbed me the wrong way. Like, don't shit on another person's ideals or choices or whatever. Like, let them do whatever they want. And yet, like, both of them were honestly, like, I'm not saying I liked him really. I mean, I liked him a little bit better than her, but oh my word, stop it, I'm so sorry you had to hear that, but she kept scratching my door. Life of a cat parent, am I right? Like, I'm not editing that out. I'm sorry you had to see that, but I've sat here for long enough. I'm not retaking this video. What was I saying? Oh yeah, I did like him a little bit better than her, but you know, I did like him a little bit better than her, but both of them are the most emotionally insecure people I've ever read from in a really long time, because constantly, they were constantly asking for validation from the other person. Like, they would be talking about like dating or whatever, and he was talking about how he was on Tinder, and like she was showing him how to like fix up his profile and stuff. And the conversation kind of turned and came up about like, oh, like, I mean, you would never swipe right on me if you saw that. Like, just admit it. Like, you wouldn't do that. And she's all like, yes, I would. No, you wouldn't. Yes, I would. And this went back and forth for a while. And then she started with the, well, if I was on there, I would swipe on you, but you wouldn't swipe on me and all this. And it was just like, oh my word. Oh my word. Why are we doing this right now? Are you, why, what is wrong with both of you? The most emotionally insecure people I've ever met in my life, I've ever read from in my life. And to be honest, I'm going to put myself on blast here. I can be like that a lot of times. I could be like that a couple times whenever I thought in my head that I needed to be dating someone to be valid, but I've changed my mind now. I turned 30 and I grew up. But I mean, I understood that, but at the same time, it's like, why are we doing this right now? You're grown people. Like, frankly, like, I wouldn't, I couldn't stand either one of them. And like, not even with that, but like, he would constantly say stuff like, oh, I'm just dull and boring. And she would constantly be going on about how hot and good looking he's looking. And like this, that, and the other. And it's like, it was so obvious from the beginning that she had feelings for him. It was so obvious that she had feelings for him. And she was like, even when like both of them were dating other people, she would always be giving any girlfriend that he had the side eye. Do you know what I mean? She would be all like the scene where they were talking about swiping whenever on the dating apps. He found he looked at this one particular girl who had like a turtleneck on and she had her hair like tied up and whatever. And I think she was like a psychologist or something. And like Poppy was like, and he was all like, oh, what about her? I like her. And Poppy was like, what, her? Really? She looks so boring. Like, she looks like a wannabe kindergarten teacher. And I'm like, how dare you? Why are you putting this other woman down? You don't know her. You don't know her. And like, he was swiping the other way. I don't know how way it works. I'm not on those fucking apps. But like, you know, swiping the other way on girls that were maybe holding a glass of beer in their photo or like wearing a cowboy hat, you know, like the party girls or whatever. And she was all like, you could have had any of those cool hip girls and you went for the boring one. And it's like, how dare you? Why are you putting this other woman down? Like, what is actually wrong with you? Like, putting other women down, giving any girlfriend he had the side eye, and just like, she annoyed the hell out of me. Like, I was just like, girl. And then, right, I'm gonna get into a bit of a spoiler, okay? I'm gonna tell you what their big fight was about. If you don't want to hear it, you can mute it until I put Hades back on the shelf. You can mute it until I put him down, because I'm gonna tell you spoilers in 3, 2, 1. So those of you that actually want to know, or that you've read it or whatever, their big fight, right? They're in Croatia. I've been there myself. It's a beautiful country. They were in Dubrovnik. I visited there myself. It's gorgeous. But anyway, so, and they get back to their hotel or whatever, and they're messing about, and they get 2 bottles of wine, and they drink a lot, like a whole lot, like 2 bottles of wine, like each or something. Both of them are very, very drunk. And then they start kissing, like really heavily making out, right? Heavily making out. And then Alex stops it and is like, no, we shouldn't be doing this. Like, we're not thinking clearly. We've had a lot to drink. This isn't right. Like, we should stop. Like, and he backs off and stops the smooching. And obviously she's like scooting away and she's all like, oh yeah, sure, totally. We're not thinking clearly. We're not thinking clearly. And she gets all butthurt about it. And then that's what leads to them not talking to each other for like 2 years because they made out. He stopped it because they were drunk and not thinking clearly, which was true. And it was like, I mean, we would wake up tomorrow and, you know, after we'd sobered up, and it would be so awkward. Like, our friendship would get ruined and we don't want that. And I care about you too much to let that happen. And she's all like, oh yeah, sure, whatever. And then he goes home, she goes home, and then they just don't speak to each other because she got all butthurt about him backing off from kissing her because they were too drunk. So that's it. That was what the fight was about. So I'm going to put Hades back on the shelf. So that was, yeah. Those of you that stuck around for that wee spoiler section, that was what the fight was about. And I remember reading, I was like, are you serious? I thought, it would have been something a little bit deeper than that. But like, so they didn't even have a fight. They just had a drunken, you know what? I'm gonna stop. Anyway, I give this 3 stars on Goodreads. But if I'm gonna be realistic, it's more like a 2.5. Because I really did not like either one of these characters. I really disliked the girl, and the emotional insecure. Wow. And yeah, and didn't like it. And then whenever she was making her big declaration at the end, and she's making this big speech about how much she loves him and this, that, and the other, I'm like, they're not going to last. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I don't mean to be Debbie Downer on this subject, but like, I'm looking at the two of them and I'm like, you two aren't going to last. Because she's flighty and irresponsible. He wants stability, marriage and everything, and she doesn't. And I'm like, she barely knows how to look after herself. Like, she has the mentality of a 19-year-old and she's meant to be almost 30. Like, why are we writing female characters this way? Why? What? That could be a whole other discussion. That could be a whole other discussion. Let me know if you want me to do a video about that particular subject. Let me know. So yeah, that is my video for today. Sorry about my yelling. It's just my cat was acting up, and sometimes, as much as it hurts, the fluffy babies need to be told. I'm sorry you had to hear me yelling at her. She just decides to act up at the worst times. But anyway, leave any comments that you want in the comment section below. Have you read this book? Did you enjoy it? Is the movie any better? Are they written any better in the movie? Let me know, because I might watch the movie and do a review on it. Would you want to see that? Anyway, so all my socials down below as always. Subscribe if you haven't already. Ring the bell. Do all the things. Let the algorithm know that you like me. Blue Sky, Instagram and Threads, TikTok, all down there. So yeah, let me know how you're doing, what you're reading. How are you? Are you doing all right? I will see you in my next video. Bye.